It's the second from the top.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Like a crispy $5 bill over there. Hey, hey, hey! We're back in the building. Man, it's been a blessed week so far. What is this, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
We have some special guests. Well, a special guest, but we'll have somebody joining us via video. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Today's subject is one that I think it may be geared toward. It is geared toward specifics, gender, race. We're talking about black men and what that's like in today's society, being a black man in today's society. Um, as I feel like that is really geared toward black men, I think everybody needs to benefit from the information that's going to be given today about the struggles and what it's like to be a black man in today's society. Because we always say that information is king, and when you can get a better understanding of someone and why they move the way they move, why they think the way they think, why they act the way they act, I always felt like that should be a must with everybody's culture, because that leaves less space for ignorance.
Yes, sir.
When you understand people's cultures and why they do the things that they do, now the questions and the acting out and different things are aren't as prevalent in today's society because you understand it.
Yes, sir.
And so, the goal for today's subject is to really get a better understanding and kind of actually like, to all my brothers that's tuning in, if you got something to say, just go ahead and type it in. But this is therapy also for us black men living in today's society because people really don't understand unless you are us what it's like every day of our lives. Um, we have a special guest in the building. He's been a friend of mine for over 20 years. Um, Such a forward thinker, and um, he was thinking and was talking about the stuff that is now being talked about 10, 15 years ago, and people really kind of not ignored him, but they knew who he was, but didn't really take what he had to say to heart. And so it's a pleasure to have him in. I have Mr. Muhammad. How are you doing, sir?
Man, thank you so much. Um, I'm really humbled. I'm very appreciative of Tim, of yourself, and like man, I really appreciate where you are. Just as a man, as a friend, and as a brother, I really do. I really appreciate you having the courage because oftentimes it takes a lot of courage to say things that people are afraid to say. I think in this hour it's very important that we do say the uncomfortable truths, if we may. And I'll just start off by saying thank you so much for the opportunity. Christy, thank you so much for the opportunity. Floyd, thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. I greatly appreciate you all. Thank you so very much. In the most holy name of Allah, I just want to greet everybody in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum. And that just simply means the Jews say Shalom Aleichem. And when you go to Catholic church, they say, peace be upon you when you come. I went to Catholic school. So that's what the priest would say when we go in, right? He would say, peace be upon you. And the response would be also unto you. That's how come we also know that all this is one. Religion is one. We just been divided by Satan.
Yeah.
And that's just an actual fact. Because the more and more we learn to grab hold of our um, our collective, just the things that we can associate with each other on, the better. Instead of relying on the, the negatives or the things that separate us, but everything that brings us together that's the most beautiful thing. So I think it's expedient during these times that we focus on the things that collectively bring us together, and I think that would help bridge a lot of the, as Tim was saying, a lot of the things that we don't know about each other, the things that we can gain respect from. Once we do that, I think that we can be a much better human family. That's the goal.
Jumping into, the topic of today's discussion, what are some of the things that, because you stay pretty in tune with what's going on, and Floyd, you can chime in on this as well. Um, what do you see from I guess it's from the inside outside looking in as it pertains to other brothers that you deal with, the things you see on social media? What do you think our biggest obstacle is?
I think one of the biggest ones is before we came on is one of the ones that you spoke about, Tim, is absolutely communication. Communication is very paramount just in any environment, whether it be at your house, whether it be at work, whether it be just out socially. Is communication is very, very important. I think that's where we have missed the boat, in large part because we just don't communicate well with each other. There's some kind of disconnect. There seems to be a disconnect, and we think that communication doesn't mean that we have to agree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we have to agree. Actually, I wrote it on on Facebook, as to where it's important. Like I like disagreements. I appreciate people that offer an alternative solution, an alternative thought process. I think it's very important. And unless you are an intellectual coward, you're afraid of those things. I just don't choose to be an intellectual coward. I feel as though we could attack those things and I think it's more productive if we do it that way. Because I know people in power, when we talk about the people in power, they don't have a problem wrangling and talking about things, about trends and things like that are coming up and disagreeing about them. But at the end of it, it's just the end result. And that's the focus. So I think we got away from that, Tim, to answer your question, sir, is we've been away from communicating with each other. We've been away from, being uncomfortable, disagreeing, those type of things. And I really believe if we can get to those things, and of course, there's more that we'll get to, obviously, but, and I'll defer to Tim on that as I think about more things as well.
Floyd, I'm gonna ask you to, chime in on that same subject. Being a black man in today's society, we all kind of stay in tune with what's going on via social media and all these different outlets. What are some of the things that you see that, that we can improve on, things we need to be, just overall better at, being black men in today's society?
I would say more so being educated, educate one another on a whole lot of stuff that goes on, and that would be that education part of it.
What part of education would you say?
I would say more so just educating each other on different things that goes on, not just in the community, but in the world too. Whatever happens to us, I mean, it's like we don't, like I said, we don't communicate. If we communicate it, then there'll be more education going.
Very much so, and I totally agree. I think too, in large part, is like when it comes to us being brothers to each other. And forgive me because ironically, I'm a little nervous, but I think I'll start to flow. But we have a problem actually, and I think I heard Tim talking about this before. And I hate to really talk about some of the bad issues because hopefully we can also give solutions to these problems, which is I would think that that's the objective as well, Brother Tim, right? But ultimately supporting each other. You know, that's one of the biggest problems
Yeah.
that we have is
Yeah.
is supporting each other. You know, and if nobody's going to, we can't expect. My thing of it is, we can't expect in 2024 that white people are going to support us.
No.
It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. So I think we have to take a hard look at that, because that's extremely important. And I realize that, you know, it's for the better of the collective, right? But overall in this society, we just haven't had that kind of support. So at a certain point, you know, like they say about insanity, it's just expecting, you know, different results doing the same thing. It's not going to happen. So once we get to the point of where we say we have to support Tim or we have to support Floyd, we have to do this, and this is an important thing, and we have to make what you do is vital and important, because the more we can circulate black dollars within ourselves, the more empowered we become collectively as a community. You see, so that's one of the biggest things. And support, that kind of support comes in a lot of different ways. I suggest a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I always say that, and it's important, you know, piggybacking off of what you were saying as far as supporting each other, is I always say this, is we think that support has to come in the way of a dollar bill.
Nope.
And it doesn't.
Not at all.
Bro, honestly, there's probably not anybody I know I haven't supported in some kind of way. Whether it be buy products, whether it be promote products, whether it be, you know, helping them with, you know, getting their business or whatever it is going, or putting them in touch with the right people. And it's not something that I wear as a badge of honor, but it actually comes natural for me. Because as soon as I see somebody on Facebook talking about a business they're doing, okay, I need to know how I can help.
Right.
But that's just me, and I feel like that's the mentality we, as especially in the black community, we have to take on, because man, it's just crazy. Once we, and I think we do, but then again, I don't think we do. We don't realize how much power we have.
Yes.
Everything in society is off our backs. Like, look,
everything.
There's not one thing you could talk about. We could talk about the medical field. We could talk about science. We could talk about religion. We could talk about, you know, just everyday living. We could talk about fashion. We could talk about music. We could talk about sports. Yeah. Like, there's not anything that is not being cultured off of our backs. And I don't understand why we don't understand how the power and authority that we have. And if we just used a quarter of that within our own black community, there's no way in the world, you know, I heard you talk about it. There's nowhere in the world we shouldn't have black schools, black hospitals, black grocery stores, black airports. And if that sounds familiar, it is.
Oh, that's a fact.
You know, we've had that in the past.
Oh yeah.
We've had that in the past. But I think the thing is with us is like, we don't have that I'm going to get it at all costs. I feel like once we encounter obstacles, especially when it's coming from a different culture or a different race that's not us, all they have to do is dangle a dollar in front of us. We're so easily to be bought.
Yes.
And what I don't understand is like how we don't realize that's just a form of slavery.
Oh yeah.
You can't buy in the black community, but then you go to the malls and buy other people's products and you wear it and you dance around in it and you parade around in it. I don't know the right way to say that. Like I want to say it, but you know,
man, it looks to me nowadays. It looks so lame for a dude. Like, I'm just being honest. It's like to see guys, man. It's like all this Gucci and Louis and like y'all. You know, it really looks lame to me nowadays. Now, I was a guy at a certain point, or if I went to the mall, I'd be in like Vegas or somewhere, and I'm like, because I got size 16. I remember I had the size 16 shoe, and I'm like, the man came out with Gucci loafers. I'm like, give me both pair and the matching belts and all this kind of stuff, right? When it's so inconsequential. It's so inconsequential, and all we are doing is making them richer and acting like we have something. Black people love the appearance of looking like we have something. We love that appearance, but we just don't have it. We live in very, very subhuman conditions. They tricked us to make us believe that that there's a so-called what is it? So it's far as living is concerned. There's a middle class. No, man. There's really not a the middle class is depreciating very quickly, and it's been a facade. Because most of
the
us,
class they created.
That's what they created to make us believe, no, we're po. P-O.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Many of us are legitimately 2, 3, or 4 payments out of doors.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be very honest about it. That's poor. Because we don't have many of us don't have what's called reserves, a year or 2 or 3 year reserves. No, but we go, to your point, Brother Tim, and go spend all this money on the appearance. I've done it. I'm over it. I've done it. I don't care what I drive. I really don't care what I have. My whole goal now in my life is to influence the youth and influence people like ourselves that are here that are forward thinkers. And that's the whole goal. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us that unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been teaching us that for a lot of years now, how much and how important it is for us to unify as a people, because we're not going to get the respect of any other communities until we make a decision to unify within ourselves, because we don't deserve the respect of anybody else until we absolutely unify within. Because how can we expect them to respect us as Black people and to want to do business with us if we can't even do business with ourselves? That doesn't. No other culture functions like that. They just don't. And in fact, the Jewish people are a very good example of how productive they've been with unity. They've been very, very successful because they are unified. And I think if we take that prescription and look at how undiplomatic they are when it comes to the unity, that is a great thing that we can incorporate into our community, and that we must incorporate into our community.
That is true. When you think about, and not just the Jewish community, the Asian community.
Yes.
Like, they recycle their dollars in their community like better than most.
Yes.
And then they figured out how to step outside of their community and get other people's dollars.
Yes.
Like, it's just, we laugh about it, but they figured it out.
They figured it out.
They figured it out. And they figured it out in the shorter amount of time it's taken us to figure it out.
Yes.
And we've been going through it longer.
Yes.
Like, I don't get it. Like, the mentality that we have, bro, is the fact that we would, as long as we're doing better than the next brothers, then I'm good.
That's not gonna cut it.
And the crazy thing is, it's like you said, you're actually not doing better than y'all both poor. You just your shoes may be better, your outfit may be better, you may drive a better car.
Yes.
But if you put your finances and where you are in life side by side, y'all. But just think about if you united those things.
We were just, my brother, we were just talking about that on the way here. He was talking to one of his family members, and he was just saying they have about 22 to 25 family members in his family, and he was telling them, like, listen, what if we all got together, even if we saved each of us saved $100 a month out of 22 people, that's $2,200 a month, and we add that on to a year's time. Well, guess what? That's a considerable amount of money that we could have collectively to put towards some land, towards something that we could offer to our next generation coming up and to ourselves while we live, especially collectively. Because if you think about it, to your point, Tim, if we collectively came together, we had 10 brothers in a room, and whoever had the top high 5 credit scores or FICO scores, guess what? Now we take what they typically do to the people that we were just speaking about, the Jewish people, the Koreans, the Chinese. And also, I always like to use our Latino brothers and sisters. See, we've just been conditioned all the wrong way. We'll laugh at them because they have, 5 or 10 people in one house, when ultimately they're just saving up to have one move out, then the other one moves out. Now
they got
everybody
the
has
whole
something,
neighborhood,
and they got the hood. I have a lot of respect for them. I have a gentleman that comes to work with me. I can call him. I can send him a text message within 30 minutes. I said, hey, Jose, can you meet me at the facility? He'll send me a thumbs up and he'll be there. It's almost without fail. And when he gets there, it could be 120 degrees. It don't matter. He's laughing at me because I got to go get some water. Somewhere along the way, we lost our way. Just even our work ethic. Just even our collective work ethic. If you think about that. So I admire our brothers and sisters, our Latino and Latinos brothers and sisters, because they really have showed us how it should be done. And I don't care what anybody thinks about it, because they are a very important, intricate part of this society. They want to make it like, oh man, we hear it on the news all the time talking about illegals. First off, white people, y'all are illegal. You don't belong in this country. You came over here and you stole everything. I'm talking about everything. And that's just a fact about it. So let's not, the whole immigration thing and all that, I'm like, kill that, because that's just, y'all just, as the kids say, that's cap. Stop it. So I just would like to see us get back on track. And I think that it starts with conversations like this that we're having today, because one thing about it, Tim, as I told you this, and I was very honest about it, I only watch a few people's, when they go live, or there's a few people I watch. And the things that you say, man, and the things that you've been putting out is very, very vital, is very important. And whether you understand it or not, Tim, I want you to always notice you are very important. And what you are saying is extremely important to us, man, because people may not always act initially on what you say, but the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, all you have to just plant a seed. See, a seed ultimately grows in darkness. Seeds grow in darkness. Trees and flowers and plants, they grow in the darkness, and then it's brought up by the power of the sun, and of course, water. But if we just put a little bit of water on it once in a while and gave it some sunlight, as in conversations like this, we can be much, much, much more beneficial to each other, because we are here to serve each other, Floyd. That's it. We have a short time, Chrissy, to be servants. That's it. That's the best thing that we can possibly do and be to each other, is servants. Nothing supersedes service to each other. Because if we don't learn how to serve each other, we're going to go down with Satan, man. And that's a fact. And they're going down very, very fast. I don't know if we're paying attention to the world just collectively, but the world is in chaos. And it's in chaos because Satan has been at the head of it, and he's been a big lie the entire time. So now we're coming out of that, and we're getting to the point where people are starting to open their eyes and see there is what's being happening, what's called the Great Awakening. I like to see. I like the term, because we hear that term, but I believe right now we're going through an extreme Great Awakening with people, and they're saying it's less about religion, it's less about color, it's less about any of that kind of stuff, but our collective unity and the love that we have to gain for each other, and that's very, very important. Very important.
Yeah, I always say, just to piggyback on what you were saying about our brown brothers and sisters, it's like they amaze me on a daily basis, because they've done so much with so little.
Yes.
Like they have. You can say what you want to say about them, like you said. I actually used that analogy the other day. It's like, yeah, they'll have 10 people in the house. I guarantee you, in 3 to 6 months, one of them is moving out, and they're gonna move across the street.
That's right.
They're gonna take half of those people and move in that house. They're gonna spread it out, and within a year or two, you're gonna wonder why that whole block is basically one family.
Yes.
And that's why I say they do so much with so little. And
why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, actually?
Because they haven't forgotten where they came from. They haven't forgotten where they came from. I know Spanish-speaking brown brothers and sisters that have been here for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're still have that same work ethic. They still have that same work ethic. And you know what they do that we don't do? We don't instill that work ethic in our kids. So there's a generational gap. And so I talk about this like over the last few years, especially with everything we've gone through with, presidents in office and COVID and this and that. I commend our kids. Our kids are really taking up the mantle. The thing about it is we're the ones lacking because we're not giving them the guidance. They're hungry and they're the willingness to want to do stuff, but they don't know how to go about doing it. Man. And we're sitting back and we're so comfortable in our lives and this and that. It's like we have all these latchkey kids that have found their way with, on the outside, yes. And parents aren't, hey, what you got going on?
Right.
And that's what I love. That's what I loved about COVID is COVID forced you to be a parent.
Yes. Not
only did it force you to be a parent, you also became a teacher.
Yes.
With all of this homeschooling and all of that, COVID was a blessing, bro. Everything you go through in life, all the valleys, all the turmoil, all that does is prepare you. And that's what COVID, presidential election, everything we've gone through over the last 5 years, it showed us the possibilities of what could be. And we really need to get back to that. And
we're going to be forced to get back to it.
Oh, it's not going to be a choice.
Right.
It's not going to be a choice. And I said this the other day is as far as parenting, man, we got to stop doing these two things. Feeling like we need to be best friends with our kids.
That's right.
And giving our kids everything that we
get
didn't
back
have.
To parenting, man.
That's the reason why we lost our way when it comes to our work ethic, and brown people still have it.
Yes.
It's because they're constantly instilling the work ethic. They don't give their kids nothing. Like, I have a restaurant, you gonna go work at this restaurant with me.
That's right.
You gonna work at this restaurant with me.
That's right.
I got a landscaping business, you gonna landscape with me.
Yes.
Us? Oh, just go work at McDonald's, and just make enough money to pay for your cell phone, and I'll pay for everything else.
Yes.
I'll put money in your account. And then we wonder why these kids are out in these streets and they're doing things that are uncharacteristic of the parents and of their family. Yeah. Is because there's that gap there. And if you don't fill that gap, they're gonna go out in these streets and fill it.
They'll find it somewhere. Yes, sir. And that's why a lot of them, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tim, but
no, you did.
So many of them, man, go to gang life.
Yeah.
Because they have that collective, that group of, just men where they feel as though like they're attached to that. And in that becomes, their haven, so to speak. To your point, Tim, it's like, man, how did we lose that? And why did we lose it? But I will say, in regard to that, there's also been, and I think it's an important point that we talk about the collective that has actually put in place mechanisms and systems, et cetera, to keep us down. See, I don't think you can't ever get away from that, because that's like when we talk about Chicago. White people love to say, well, what about Chicago? All the gangbangers there.
Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is Chicago is considered probably the most corrupt city in the country.
Yeah.
It is politically, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
See, so there's a great deal of corruption. So you expect the gangbangers to be better than the politicians and the police and the judges? Get out of here. See, you can't, that's small time talk. Don't talk to me about you. We have to get to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks to us about the root knowledge. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said we have to get to the root of the issue. Whatever that root is that what we have to explore to find the solution to the problem? So let's not throw off on the gangbangers and the old rookers and whoever else is a Chicago gangbanger. but you all don't want to pay attention to the politicians,
How it
the
all
judges,
started.
how it all started, and where it's because everything flows downward. See, it starts at the head. So I don't expect my daughter, to your point, Tim, to if I don't give her proper guidance and proper understanding and rear her and parent, then I can't expect her to accomplish that much. Or she may accomplish that much, but it's still going to be more of a challenge for her to accomplish it. Should I, as her father and as her mother, guide her properly and give her proper and right guidance? Because there's guidance, but we need right guidance. You see, so just to coattail what you were saying as well, Tim. That's very important, man.
Christy, you were brought up in a culture family. You have a culture family, and you guys, and that's why I say it's important that we just not exclude other cultures and other nationalities and other races from these discussions, because it's important. Like you said, I love it. I love it when we disagree, because for me, disagreement is just another perspective.
Yes.
And I say this all the time: the only true death is when you stop learning.
That's right.
And so, for me, I don't ever want to stop learning. But Christy, you've grown up, you have family, multicultural family. Collectively as a community, what do you feel like, as a community, collective whole, all nationalities, what can we do better to strengthen the bond and unite other cultures and other races?
I believe the answer is understanding and compassion. Having understanding and compassion for you, the person next to you, the person that you're walking by, everyone, all the people that you cross paths with, you need to have conversations and respond with compassion and understanding, even if your opinion is different. So we're not going to agree. That's okay. But we can at least have compassion and understanding for the other person. And I talk about, my sister and her husband, Ice T, my sister's Coco. They come from completely different backgrounds, and they don't always agree on everything, but they have compassion and understanding for each other, that they can make it through anything, that they will come together and they will support each other no matter what their differences are.
Back to communication, right?
Yes. So, but having that compassion and understanding for each other and respect. Respect is a big one. You have to have understanding, compassion, and respect for all people. And that's where we're going to bring in the unity, because I want to support everyone. And it shouldn't be, in my opinion, only supporting your own. What is your own? We all bleed red. We all have blood running through us.
Yes.
My brothers and sisters, we're all the same. We all come from the same source, the God source.
That's right.
We are all unified. So having that compassion and understanding of people that we speak with and where they're coming from and what they want to create. And in doing so, when you want to have that community, you're talking about the Black schools, Black airports, and all that, not excluding, I wouldn't say excluding white people, I don't think would be the best option, because, hey, I understand that we, as far as immigration goes, yes, this land was stolen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Did I personally steal that land? No. I want to help and support, and I know there's tons of people, my brothers and sisters, who want to come together and love and support all people. So I don't believe in division. I believe in all coming together and supporting each other and loving each other and doing the best that we can do to educate. Okay, this is your struggles. That's why I'm here. I want to hear your struggles, so I have a better understanding of you. When I talk to you, when we have conversations, I have a better understanding of where your head is at. It might not always be on the same page, but I want to have an understanding, because I want to know how I can support and how I can love.
Yes, ma'am.
Because love is what will unify us.
Yes, ma'am.
To kind of go on with what you were talking about, when we talk about us and us owning things, is ownership is power. And we have gently, we have forcefully asked for what was due us.
Yes.
Everybody that doesn't look like us was given everything that was due to them. And we've asked for generations and hundreds of years to give us what's due us. And when we talk about the black airports, when we talk about the black hospitals, we're not talking about when we talk about the patrons and the customers, we're not talking about excluding anybody from that, but we're talking about us owning it.
Right.
We're not talking about partnering with other nationalities, other races. We're talking about us owning it.
And
When we go to any of the hospitals, it ain't us here that own it. They'll give us a job,
Yes.
but we don't ultimately make the decisions
That's exactly.
about what goes on at the hospitals. So we need to be empowered with our own hospitals, our own schools, because especially when it comes to our own schools, because at that point is you can no longer tell us how to educate our kids about our culture.
Right.
Right.
So we have to have that ownership because we're as a people we're being forced out, but you accept our culture. And so with the ownership and all of that comes with us being able to establish, okay, these are the ground rules. We're going to learn black history. We're going to learn to write black history.
That's right.
We're going to teach these kids white, black, Asian, indifferent, whatever it is.
It's just going to be truth.
Yeah, we're gonna teach them who actually invented all of this stuff.
Yes.
You don't get to steal our history and then have us depend on you to teach our kids. And that's what I mean by, we need to take ownership in these things, is because it gives us the authority to tell the truth.
And that's right. And if I can just so Muslims, we always say we camelback. So
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
that's gonna be my new one, camelback instead of piggyback.
That's real. And if I may address Christy, what is it, Christy or Christy?
Christy.
Christy with a T. So if I may address that, please, ma'am. It's like, and you know what, in a perfect world, if I may, because what you're saying is really, that's how it should be. See, it shouldn't be a situation where there should be exclusion, but back to what Tim says, it has been in every single solitary front. So now what we have to do, the best thing that we can possibly do is we have to turn inward. And we have to, because here's the thing. For example, if we want to have a school, what's required is there's a certain curriculum that has to be taught. We can't do that anymore. Just like he said, we have to teach our true history. See, our true history about who created microwaves and stoplights and air conditions and things like that, and all that we've contributed to this society, not even talking about how much we've tilled the land, right? And how we've created this country and built it. That's the beginning of it. But at the end of the day, to your point, Tim, is that we absolutely have to, there's nothing wrong with us. See, nobody has a problem with Jewish people and Korean people and Chinese people you see Chinatown, when I drive through LA and I see Chinatown, I'm like, wow. See, and then guess what? They don't even really want black people around there. I'm just being honest with you. See, because if you go into their establishments, they kind of look at you like, what are you doing here? And then guess what? They're justified to do so because they're to serve their own people. Now, if we go in there to do business with them, well, that's okay, fine. But that's their community. And they're within all their rights collectively to create and do business with their own. Everybody just has a problem with black people doing that. And I just don't understand that. And I just know it's a threat. It's a part of it.
I go to Chinatown.
Yeah.
I go to Chinatown, and I've never had that issue. But
it's not an outwardly issue. They're not gonna treat you any kind of way.
Right.
But the reason why they've established that is that's why they call it Chinatown.
Right.
Like
when you're in New York.
In Chicago, we used to have a place called Jewtown.
Yes.
it's no longer there, but
It was there.
it was, and business wise, it wouldn't make good business sense to only cater to, you know,
Doesn't make sense.
our people. But we letting you know, like, I created this.
This is
for
ours.
Black people.
There you go.
Like, you could come and join in with us, but this was established for Black people.
That's
This was
right.
established for Jewish people. This was established for Asian people.
And that's all I'm saying is, why turn down money? It doesn't make sense.
Nobody will ever
Because
turn down
Asian,
money.
you
Nobody
know,
will ever
when I
turn
want
down
Asian food in New York, I go to Chinatown. You know,
Right.
that's where I go when you're feeling a certain type of way. When I need to get my car fixed, usually it's the Mexican places that do the best work. They do. They get it
That's
done.
right.
And so there's certain places that you go, but why turn that? Why would you turn me down because I'm not Asian or Mexican?
No,
It
they
doesn't make sense.
wouldn't turn you
Why-
down, but I
what if
guarantee
wanna-
you.
What if I want to take my kid to a Black school because I want them to learn? I want them to learn.
And we will
that
be,
education.
and we would
That's what I'm
promote.
saying.
We would promote. That's the thing that we talked about earlier. Is education about other people's culture is what's going to cut down on the ignorance in today's society. You don't turn people down.
Right.
No.
But I guarantee you, if it's a Black establishment and you came for a job and I came for a job, unless something abnormal happens, I should get the
Right.
job.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I'm not
That's
saying
exactly
as far as
I
like
should get the
jobs.
job.
I think there should be Black-owned businesses, Black Wall Street. That that there should be that community. I just don't believe in exclusion when it comes to if I want to come. Why would you turn down
No.
that money?
No, ain't
And the
nobody-
reason I
ain't nobody
say that is
taking it.
because I know
That-
there are
Yeah.
some communities, and I've been in a relationship where there was a Black group,
Yes.
and there was a fundraiser. So this is the reason that I say this. Is there was a fundraiser. I was excited to go to support, and he told me straight up, you can't go because you're white. So I was like, oh, okay. To me, that just didn't make sense. I respected it, and of course, I'm like, this is your thing. But at the same time, it didn't make sense because I'm like, you're turning down money. Why?
And
Why would you turn down
No,
support?
but think about it like this, Chrissy, in this way, is like it's not about the dollar bill,
No, it's not.
and maybe that's just I respectfully submit to you, maybe consider that alternative thought process. See, it's not about the dollar bill, it's about the collective act. You see, it's about the collective act of if Tim and I doing something together in a room full of 20 or 30 Black people doing something exclusively, and then ultimately we're able to offer, whatever that product or service is to you. But we have our collective, and we have it set, and we have the rules, as Tim said. See, we've set the rules and the parameters, and we've set them. Nobody else has set the rules and the parameters but us. And that's very important.
But we're talking about a fundraiser to raise money for Black businessmen.
Still same thing.
And there's Hispanic, there's Asian, there's Black. No whites are allowed. So you're saying that's in your mind a Black fundraiser having all cultures but white is.
Well, you have to understand have to understand what the preface of it is. Like, it's something deeper rooted than that. They could collectively be getting brown and Black people together because it could be in that beta mode to where we like, okay, let's try to do this with just us and see how it works out. It's not anything probably that's going to be long term, but we have to figure out, okay, if we can do it together, let's try this together with just us.
Yeah.
And then we open it up for everybody else.
See, and that's the point. See, it's not about, like you said, Tim, and then Christy, it's like this. It's not the fact that there's the exclusion of white people, but the most important part of it is the unity of Black people. See, it's again back to one of my original points is nobody has an issue with it when it's other cultures that do that. Jewish people do not go out and seek Black people to sit in their circles. Italians don't go sit out and seek Black people to sit in their circles.
Asians don't either.
Asians, Chinese, and Koreans, and all the other, they do not go seek out Black people to sit in their circles. It doesn't happen. And again, it's not an exclusionary act, but it's inclusionary. You follow me? It's less of an exclusionary act, but more of an inclusionary act. So it's not as though anybody hates or has a problem with that because, of course, back to the love. Yes, should we all be able to come into one environment? Absolutely. It has not happened. That has been the cornerstone of our problems and our issues because we have not come together and said, okay, Tim, let's get 10 people and start this business. And that's it, and that's all. And then ultimately, everybody will see the collective greatness and the collective, just the responsibility that we've been just taken on because it's a responsibility. You know, other people can absolutely see the progress and the success of what we've done collectively. And whoever else wants to come out to that point, I think it's a beautiful thing. But we have to begin within ourselves. Again, I'll say it for the last time. Nobody else has a problem because they don't invite black people into their circles. They do not. We don't hear them on TV, and the Jewish people started the NAACP. They started it for a reason. They wanted to have say-so in there. See, the NAACP wasn't started by all black people. NAACP was started by Jewish people that have the finances to back that, which of course that comes with their agenda. You follow me? So now we have to be in servitude to their agenda part way. That's not right. And that's not throwing off on them, of course, but I'm just talking about facts. So if we were to start our own NAACP, guess what? We have our own sovereignty. We have our own act and our own board and everybody else. If Tim is the head, then that's it. And he calls the shots. And we can't have a problem with his decisions if we are not willing to fight and to not necessarily fight, but to discuss. And if we have to argue, hey man, that's okay. We just have to take a mature stance on the argument because it's all about the productivity and the end result. You follow me? And that's it, and that's all. But we have to stay diligent with that. I really believe that. And it's not like I said, Christy, it's not an exclusionary act. And I'll say this and close on that point, is that I greatly appreciate the fact that that's how you look at it, because that is progressive. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I really believe that you have an obligation to teach your people how to do that. Yeah. You have an obligation. And anytime that you're witnessing, and that's how I look at it as well, is like as a white person, you have an obligation to teach your people. Mm-hmm. You have to teach them out of such ignorance. Just like we have an obligation to teach our people. Yes, because whether it starts from the within. There you go. Because here's the fact: white people have this inordinate idea of superiority. I'm not saying you do, but as a collective, and that's just like I can turn it back on us. We hate on each other. Yep. You see? So there's really it's the same thing. But white people really believe deep down in their hearts and their minds, many of them, that they're better than us. This has just been taught to them through generations. That's not all white people. I hate when people say, oh, man, not all. Stop it. My background is extremely diverse. Jewish people have been some of the most, and many white people have done very big, beautiful people to me. And a lot of the opportunities that I've had in my life has been because of Caucasian people. And I'm telling you right now that I'm not worried about color. I don't think about that in that regard. Yes, I see white people for when they, being, with the things that they do, but that's not the whole collective of it. That's not how, my mind is worried about that. We just don't think like that. But ultimately, Christy, like I was saying, I just encourage you, because I've had this conversation with white people in the past, is that you have to work within your community to establish and reestablish the guidelines. And when I say guidelines, I mean things such as how you operate and see things, and the practice of empathy. See, it's not always about you and me, man. It's not always about what white people, because they'll put their agenda up. And Christy, forgive me, but I always speak very straight words. No, and there's no hate at all. That's the preface of this show. Yes. Unapologetic conversation. Unapologetic. And there is nothing about me. Anybody that knows me, since I've been here in Arizona, they know the kind of person I am. And it doesn't matter who they are, what color, what culture. I work with kids from all across the valley. I've put on camps. I've spent a few years, if I may, just real quick, during COVID, I spent $50,000 of my own money to put on a football league that was 11-man tackle football league in Bullhead City, Arizona. Myself and my partner, I love him to death. His name is Dijon. He's on here all the time with me. But we put on an entire league. The face of our league was Nico Anueva. He was a starting quarterback for Tennessee. Before our league, he didn't have one offer. I love them so much, man. They're so just beautiful, beautiful people. But we were able to provide a forum to have countless young men of every nationality get opportunities to go to a university. Nico was one of them. There's Samoan, which they're still black people, right? But they're still black people. But at the end of the day, I'm saying the collective of the mass culture, of kids we were able to affect was really, really a beautiful thing. And I'm not going to sit around and be like, oh, man, he's a white kid. We ain't going to do that. No, that's ridiculous. These are children. These young men deserve opportunities just like everybody else deserves opportunities.
We're gonna cut to let's hold on one second. Let's bring Asha on and then,
hey, that's my guy.
We'll cut.
Hey man, you supposed to been on time, Ash. I love you, man. How you been?
Unmute yourself. Oh my goodness. What? You're muted. He said he's not on mute.
We can't hear you, bro.
You have to unmute. Anyway, go ahead with your point, Christy. We'll come back.
I was just gonna say, if I could suggest maybe a different perception. When you said that white people feel they're superior, maybe you say to look inward, and that might be a perception that you're feeling, or others are feeling that white people feel superior. In reality, maybe they see you as a threat. You're stronger. There's perception. They're looking at you a certain way, and you're looking at them like they think you're superior. Neither one of you are right or wrong in the way you're feeling.
That's
it
right.
comes from within, and changing the feelings and perceptions that we have with the person that we're standing in front of.
Yes, very much so. And
it's the actual fact that white people feel superior. Like it's a proven fact. And understand that when we say white people, we're not talking about every single white person. You look at how society is being run. Look at where we stand. We're still asking to be treated as equals.
Just treated as equals.
Just treated as equals, or actually as humans.
Yes.
That's what we're asking for. You can go down the list of every corner of society, of life, and it is a known fact that white people have a superiority complex. It is a given. It's all over TV. White people are even saying they have white people, but understand that if that's not you, then the statement doesn't apply to you. But as the collective, that's just saying that's like saying, black people are racist. Not all black people are racist, and some of the most racist people are black people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but I'm not. That doesn't go to say that he's racist. But I made a shirt in response to the Go Brandon, Let's Go Brandon thing that people was wearing. I did a shirt that said Let's Go Racist, and then on the back of it I said all racist people aren't white. So that's not saying that all black people are racist, all white people are racist, and all white people have superiority complexes. That's not. But as a collective, in general, yes, white people. That we wouldn't be sitting here having these discussions if that wasn't the case.
That's right.
Like we wouldn't. I have to go a little bit longer. We wouldn't be having these discussions if that wasn't a problem in today's society. We're not looked at as equal. We have to do the song and dance to even get attention.
Yes.
Whereas, somebody white go into business, they're gonna have every color people in line buying from them. Black people go into business, and we'll have people, but we have to collectively try to get our own people to support us.
Yes.
So there is a superiority complex within the white community. It's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years.
And conversely, there's a black inferiority complex as she pointed out. See, and that's just as equally bad.
Yeah.
So I can't go to the South and just because I know bro coming on. I don't like to go to the South because I still watch black people walk around with their head down and tipping and whispering when white people are around. That's insanity to me. In 2024, I witnessed it. When I went down to Georgia with a friend of mine, I couldn't even believe what I was watching. I'm like, man, this just can't be. This just can't be the case.
I spent some time growing up in the South, and it is. They still have in Louisiana. They got the black pool and the white pool.
Unreal.
Like when I first moved down there, I was like, hey man, let's go hoop at this park. It was like, no, that's the white people's park. Like, and it's still that kind of mentality, like you said, the inferiority complex, and it's equally as bad.
It's no
superiority complex and the inferior.
Same thing.
Both of them feed each other in a negative way.
Yes.
And so we gotta have these discussions. You know, it's as a black person, do I want to hear about us being inferior? No, I don't. As a white person, do you want to hear about white people having a superiority complex? No, you don't. But it's what it is. We can't shy away from what is actually going on. We have to have those conversations, and it's got to be an in-your-face kind of conversation because we have to get that out there. We have to. People have to know. Is his audio straight?
Go ahead and speak.
No, something is going on with. Oh. There's nothing on our end. Hold on 1 second.
You can hear us, though. You can hear us, obviously, right?
Well, he thinks that restarting it will bring it back on. We've had this. That's why I tell people whenever we do this, be ready earlier so we could test this stuff out. That's why.
Headphones?
No, it's not his headphones. We had this. He think it's the mute on his phone, but it's a mute on the link that he needs to hit.
You understand that, Brother Asher? It's a mute on a link, not on your phone.
See if I can.
But as you continue, Tim, it's what you were saying, and we just, like you said, you use the words unapologetically. The word unapologetically, and that's the problem, is that we've always had to apologize for our unity, Christy. We've always had that. That's just the thing amongst our culture. See, when we come together, we always have to, for some reason, if there's somebody white involved or somebody, we always have to be careful about what we say. You understand? We always have to be why is that? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just like nowadays, it's like, we talk about Jewish people. It's like, what happens is, like, in this society, if you say something about Jewish people, you're considered anti-Semitic. I'm like, where they do that at?
First of all, for black people to say anything about the Jewish community, we were the original Jews. So how can you be anti-Semitic about something that you are?
There you go.
And that's the whole education. That's why we have to have these conversations, because they don't know what is tied into each other.
Correct.
And so for us to have these conversations is very important. And I had this, tried to get a message over to Kyrie. Is like, during that time when he was being ridiculed and, for all the he just posted a link. Didn't say one word. He just posted a link.
Oh, he's an anti-Semite. Like, come on, man.
And you have people around here using that word, and I'm asking, like, hey, what does that mean? That means he's prejudiced against Jewish people.
That's so stupid.
I said, what I said, name me the original tribes of Jews. Name the original Jewish tribes. Couldn't name one. I said, so for you to say that, you'd have to understand who Jews really are.
There you go. We just, bro, it's just so ridiculous. A lot of the lies and misinformation, and then people have, how they try to paint you, man. If you just, nobody's above reproach. I can talk about black people all day, and I do. And Tim knows. I talk about how the conditions and what we need to change in our community. We have to be hard on us. These are hard conversations. We have to have hard conversations within. So nobody else outside of us is, anybody could be talked about.
Yeah.
Nobody's beyond reproach. We're all human beings. Unless, in fact, you believe that you are better than us, which that's the message it's in. So if I say, oh, well, Jewish people should correct this or Asian people should correct, well, I've already talked about how what we need to fix is black people, but I can't dismiss the fact that, hey, we're being put out. I can't, if I say that Jewish people own the vast majority of real estate, that's not a lie. If I say that the Jewish people own the vast majority of the platforms on Facebook, etc., that's not a lie. If I say that Jewish people own the mass media, that's not a lie. I'm not saying anything inflammatory or derogatory towards them. I'm just simply stating a fact. But ultimately, you want to call me an anti-Semite. We can't do that. Because my background, as I said, I have, even to this very day, I have very good Jewish people that I reverence, that I care about, that I have a great relationship with. And there is nothing at all that anybody is going to be able to tell me about those Jewish people that have been very instrumental in my development and have helped my business and done whatever else. You're not going to get me into that bag because you're going to get it because I don't play that game with anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's not a game that I'm willing to even entertain because that's just not my upbringing.
Asha, can you hear us?
Facts. Yeah, I can hear you now.
He's on.
There he is.
My guy.
Turn it up. So,
Yeah, what up, guys?
real quick.
Yo, this is such a heavy topic, man. I love it.
It would have been better if you would have came on time.
You deserve that.
Yeah, you're right on that one. You're right.
Do the
brother.
reverse.
You're right.
Make his picture bigger, and us smaller.
I'm interested to hear what you got to say, Ash, because I appreciate you, man.
So, Ash,
you know what this. Sorry, go ahead.
So the discussion that we're talking about is what are some of the things that you see in black culture that we need to, as a black man, that we need to be better at?
Oh man, just trusting each other's, man. Just the trust is so deep. The mistrust is so deeply entrenched and enshrined in every fabric of what we do, man. It's like we can't trust each other enough to really even start a successful project, man, and see it through. We don't give each other the grace that, is required for us to make mistakes as human beings first. I think we hold each other in such a, like, I would say inhuman because nobody's, capable of just carrying on through life without making mistakes. And I don't think we give each other enough grace and enough trust in order to, to build that kind of relationship where we could build generational wealth, where we could build successful businesses and even strong relationships,
Trust is big, man. You're right. You're right about that, Ash. That's true, man.
And so
Absolutely.
the other thing that we were talking about too, Ash, is that we're talking about the building of the black community and trying to get back to those days where we had our own schools, we had our own hospitals, we had our own grocery stores, and Christy brought up a valid point. Is maybe it's well, she made a point to where she's like, well, maybe it's not about just excluding everybody else and just making it black. And what we were trying to say is that it starts with us. And E made a point saying that it's not exclusion, it's inclusion. And to kind of give a brief synopsis on what he was saying is it has to start with us. We have to be the cornerstone of it. It doesn't mean that we're excluding anybody from being a part of it, but we have to be the cornerstone of it. We use the example of education. Our education system is trash right now. And it's trash because
Yes.
it's not only not teaching black culture, black history, it's not teaching nobody's history. It's not teaching the Italian culture. Asians have a deep rooted. They were slaves. They're not teaching the Asian culture and their history. Everything is being tailored around Western, pagan, uh, holidays, culture, all of that. And that's why we're saying that, when it comes to the black community and as a black man, it's up to us to lead our black community and get back to those things that are important to us. It doesn't mean that
Yes.
other people can't join in, but we have to be the cornerstones because everything is us anyway. Like everything is us anyway.
Right.
Why not take the next step and own it?
Absolutely.
Like if you're gonna get it from us, don't steal it. Come buy it. Come buy it from us.
That's right.
If I may just real quick,
So,
just camelback off of what you said, Brother Ash, as far as the trust is concerned, if people here are watching, if you've never studied and if you've never gone and looked at the Willie Lynch papers, I highly suggest that you read Willie Lynch because it's exactly what our brother is talking about. See, there's been a concerted effort. I want to be very clear about that. There's been
Willie Lynch was from Jamaica. Let me just add that he was a Jamaican. He was brought in from Jamaica to implement his strategy of pretty much turning all the slaves against each other.
Man.
Go ahead, my brother. I don't mean to cut you.
No, I appreciate that. So ultimately, when the concerted effort to create this unity amongst our people, and obviously this trust, as you were speaking about, Brother Asha, is vital for Western. What's the term? Just the whole culture of Western civilization. It was vital to that, right? So to develop mistrust within us, it undergirds this society. You follow me?
Absolutely.
Because as Tim has said many times, hey, if we have to be the cornerstone, but they work very hard and diligently to create so much division and mistrust and distrust within our community. It is absolutely inevitable.
I'm a camelback on just to add a little bit more before I extend on Tim's questions. Really, if you look at how Black Wall Street was successful, those people were successful because they realized they have nobody coming to help them. So they have to unite. We're not at that stage as Black people yet that realize that we're not having any come save you moment from anybody else but us. We're not at that moment yet. That's why it's not critically important for us to form that allegiance with each other. So once we get there, like all those people back on the Black Wall Street, they realized nobody was coming to help them. So they had themselves, they have the expertise, the knowledge, and the information they have at the time. And they do so much with that little bit of information they have.
Yes.
And we're in an era of informational, like super highway. Information is at the tip of your fingertip. And you cannot get Black people to sit down long enough with the information that's going to put us in front of all the other races out there. If you look at all the other minority that comes here, everybody else is making leaps and bounds ahead of us. And to add to what you were saying about the history that was taught in school, Tim, Black people, we don't teach history at home. That's where it starts. Those other races teach their history at home. That's why it doesn't matter if they teach it in the school or not. They're getting taught at home. So therefore, they just come out here. They're watching us all around, running around, following what's on the internet, following what the next big thing is. But they sticking to the project. They sticking to the script at home. What was taught at home, they sticking to the script. We're not sticking. We don't have no script. You know what I'm saying? So that's the answer to that question, man. As you know, you see, it's my passion talking, as the Louis Farrakhan would say. So don't listen to my oval expression of this thing. It's my passion talking. So I'm saying this to say, man, like, we cannot go anywhere without white people's help to where we want to go. I'm going to put that out there. But we have to start it ourselves. We have to have the narrative of how we're going to govern ourselves, how we're going to carry ourselves. And for once, man, I don't think we could take command and instruction from each other. And it goes back to the trust again. We have to trust each other to the point like, yo, everybody see the vision. And I think of the problem that we having us as black people is that nobody sees the vision. There's no vision for us to follow. What are we following? What script we're following? Every other race and religion knows that. In order for them to survive, if they don't stick together, they're gonna get run over by everybody else out there.
Well,
We have not gotten to that part yet.
the main reason is we as black people, we spend so much time chasing the dollar.
Yes.
Is we have no plans, and that's why you said we'll try to get it by any means. We'll try to get $1 by any means.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. We will go into that without having a plan at all. It's all about the look, feel, see, and touch.
Yes. Optics of it.
The optics of it. But we have to get back to building legacies, man. We have to get back to understanding that this thing that we're doing is not about us. It's about the people that's coming after us.
Yes.
And so as long as we keep this thing going, man, that stuff is going to fester through generations and generations. And you're right. The education has to start at home.
Yes.
And how it starts at home is we as black parents, we got to understand that I don't care about your 9 to 5. Your child and your future is more important.
That's what it is.
And we got to start taking time for what's important.
Yes.
We have so many other things that we're putting in place of what's important, and we're getting put further and further behind the 8 ball.
Yes.
Asha.
Yes.
As a black man, what are some of the things that you struggle with?
Man, that's the.
Yeah.
I think having a good support unit together around me, like I feel like I don't have a good support unit from my brothers in order to go through things, even like life stuff, man. Like it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be like I want a job, I want to come hang out now. It just, I just feel like support, emotional, mental, because men, we don't talk about stuff that we go through, man, and that's why it's, I think, for most part, as as men, we go through stuff. It seems so like dramatic because we don't have anybody to kind of help talk us down, help to kind of give perspective on things, and we just stay in a fight or flight mode, So having good support, man, as brother, as men, as black men, in order for us to help go through stuff, I feel like that's kind of left us in such a disenfranchised situation with with even a small stuff is like some mental stuff that we could always fix with just a conversation. um you know I need an issue. I have some work to be done. I want to start a business, or I want to find out about insurance. I want to find out about mortgage. I want to find about flipping homes or real estate, whatever. I don't have that community, man. That I feel like as black men, we really are dropping a whole lot of catches out here for opportunities to build and grow strong communities. I just
So,
don't feel like
Asha,
we have that
are you
support.
saying, Asha, that we just don't have the forum to sit around and throw ideas and just talk about our daily problems and whatever our daily issues or our accomplishments? We just don't have that kind of forum. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Absolutely. That's pretty much in a nutshell.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what we're going to start. And this was actually the start of it. And I didn't tell Eric this, and I don't really think I told anybody this, is that this is what this place is going to be. This is the future of this place, at least one aspect of it. This will be at this table. This will be where we come sit down and we talk about things that we can band together with, the problems that we deal with, because unless you are a black man, you have no idea what it's like on a daily basis.
Mm.
This is, it might sound dramatic, but it's as simple as this. When I leave my house, I know that there's a chance that I might not come back home because of the color of my skin.
That's right. I just said that the other day.
That's
I
right.
don't think no other nationality of men.
No other race. Yeah.
Yeah, no other race.
No.
You go out your door thinking you might die today.
You know, there's a possibility. Like, yeah,
Man, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
that's why I use that analogy, is because
Mm-hmm.
that's truly how it
Now
is
let
to
that
be a
let
black
that
man
sit,
in today's society.
brother.
That you have
Say
to
that again. Say
calculate
that
that
again. Say that
aspect.
again. Say that again slower and let that sink in, because I think you
Well,
said it
I'm
so.
fit. Like,
You
I
said it
got
so
goosebumps.
nonchalant. Say that again and let that really sink in, because not every man, and we have a millions of men on this planet. Say that again. Let it sink in, my brother, because
Say it
that's
again,
not
Tim.
that's not shallow talk.
Say
You
it
talking.
again, Tim.
it is crazy to me, people that want to be associated with us. I say this. I say black men should come with a user's manual, because you cannot handle us the same way you handle everybody else.
That's powerful.
The reason why you can't is because you'd have to understand what we go through on a daily basis, bro. Like
Yes.
you do not understand until you are that person that when you leave your house, in the back of your mind, you know that there's a chance that you might not come back home strictly because of the color of your skin.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That is
man.
crazy to me.
Crazy.
And so for you to be able to deal with us, that's got to first be at the front of your mind.
Yes.
Is this man already off rip? We have a lot to overcome.
Yes.
Just living. We're not talking relationships. We're not talking business. We're not talking
Making a
friendships.
living.
We're talking about just living.
Going out the door.
So we get in these relationships, and it's not an understanding whether the woman is black, whether the woman is white. You have to understand what you're tying yourself to when it comes to us as black men. If you're not willing to get that understanding and read the user's manual, do not open the package.
Leave it alone. Leave it closed.
Do not
Return
open
to sender.
the package.
Return to sender.
Bro, it's a lot that comes with us. I'm a black man, and I can say that. It's a lot that comes with us. And if you're not ready for that,
Man.
you know who I look at and I admire? These older mixed couples, the black and white. Could you imagine the 70 and 80-year-old? Yeah!
Yeah, man.
Bro! And to hear them say they're 80, 85 years old, we've been together
40,
for
50 years.
50 years.
Like, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, just backtrack.
Just backtrack.
Just backtrack 50 years and understand what was going on then.
Yeah.
You know,
And right now they're at this point in their lives, and we still aren't being handled right.
That's right. You know, as you were talking, Tim, and based on what you said, Asha, did he go off? What I think, Tim, what we have to develop, and maybe I'll commission you with that right now because of your brilliance, brother, is we have to, and your vision, is we have to develop a unity curriculum. There's a unification curriculum that we have to develop, I think, and I think that's going to help us. So maybe that's something you and I have to work on, Tim, just, you know, you and I or whoever else, but we have to develop a curriculum to where when we have these forums, Brother Floyd, that it actually has a lot of value. But there has to be, because I think you used that term earlier. One of you all used the term, maybe you used the term, Tim, but about a curriculum, or maybe Asha did. But that is very important. We have to actually write it out and put together the curriculum. So when we come together, we're actually just not shooting from the hip, but we actually have a blueprint that we could offer the brothers, that when we sit down, we can say, this is what Tim's vision was. And, you know, and I just came in and we just put a little, you know, just a little icing on it, what have you, to get it to the point where actually we're dealing with some substance or something. And we actually have a blueprint, you know, 30, 60, 90 day, whatever that looks like. to go forth and do what we need to do to at least jumpstart our unity. And whatever that regard looks like, whatever that looks like. If it's buying if it's buying Tim's hat, or if it's buying his T-shirts or whatever you have, whatever I have, that's where it needs to start.
Yeah.
So if we don't start that direction, I think, if we do start at that direction, Brother Tim, to help to bring light to your vision, sir, I think that's a good starting point. So it has to be a curriculum that we have to develop, I believe.
I think how we're gonna do this is we're gonna pick a day during the week, and this will be a forum. And it's not just
you guys.
it's not exclusion, it's inclusion. We will bring different people in.
Yes.
But the forum will start with us getting an understanding. We're going to do the video and maybe have people that aren't us, coming in, chiming in, listening in. Because it has to, you're right, it has to be a curriculum. It can't just be talk. It has to be something that is applicable. And I think it
and we actually have a blueprint. So that curriculum is a blueprint.
Yeah. And so it's important that we do this. This has really been on my heart, and I've discussed it with Floyd a number of times. Is like we have to have a safe space. We have to have a safe space where we can have these conversations, man.
Right, well said.
And start, like he said, start building that trust back. Start building that trust back with the understanding that we can't hold people to an expectation that's not realistic.
Right.
Bro, we're human. We're gonna make mistakes.
Right.
What's the crazy thing about us as Black people? We'll make a mistake to somebody else. We done with it.
Yeah.
But then we can let every other race
run over us.
I still, for the life of me, don't understand how we have so much loyalty to a country that is killing us with the food we eat. That's a whole nother subject, but that's an example of how much we will have misplaced loyalty when the loyalty hasn't been earned.
Willie Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. When the loyalty hasn't been earned, but then the people that we come in contact with daily, we have problems trusting them. Yeah. And I think that it's so important that, and I talk about this all the time, is like managing your expectations is so important because we all are all over the place when it comes to our expectations.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can do is put your expectations on somebody else.
And it's just, Tim, it's working through it. Floyd.
Yeah.
It's just working through it, man. Asha, it's just working through it. You can't be afraid of the challenge of working through the damn thing, man. Because we have to realize, I was telling somebody the other day, to your point, man, we have to realize again, so if we're going to manage the expectations, we have to realize the position that we're in, how sick we've been.
Yep.
You follow me?
It's like alcoholism or drug
There
addiction.
you go, man.
You cannot solve the problem if you don't first admit that there is one.
My name is Eric Muhammad, and I have a problem. I've been an alcoholic for 30 years. And guess what? The good book says confession is what? Good for the soul.
Yep.
Man, I don't have no, man, listen, man, my crap is my crap, man. And I'm okay with my crap because I'm not holy. I just speak when I speak and I'm talking on Facebook and doing my live videos. I'm just talking like, hey, I'm not coming from a holy standpoint. I'm just talking from my own reality and what I know that I have to fix and what I have to change about myself. So there's no condemnation about on anyone else. It's just that I understand, hey, I've been sick. I've been talking about, just to give credence to that, and I know we're on time, but at the end of the day, during this month, this holy month of Ramadan, I'm just making decisions and I'm having to look myself in the face more to find out what my demons are, Christy. You follow me? See, not to get into religion, but I'll just say this. We believe we can skate into the hereafter. Oh, we just got to believe. There's no work involved. Where they do that at? Anything that is of high value, it's going to take a lot of work. W-O-R-K. Work is force times distance. Work is force times distance. I can push this desk or whatever it is. If I am unable to move it, I have not done any work. You follow me? So at the end of the day, that's where we have to be. We have to be okay with looking ourselves in the mirror and facing our own demons. And ultimately, that'll build a stronger community and make us love each other more. Because, Floyd, I don't care what your devils are. I don't give a damn. That's between you and your God. And that's it, and that's all. All I know is that we share something. We're two black men in the same situation. Christian, Muslim, Jew, agnostic, Hebrew, you call it whatever you want. It does not matter. The enemy does not care about our religion.
Right.
They work every day to keep us divided. And we give them all kinds of help to do so.
Yep. Man, I don't know if we've had a more powerful show. I just want to, in closing, we had some technical issues where we lost Asha. So, but this is the start.
Yes, sir.
This is the start. And so we're gonna do this at least once a week. We're gonna get with the brothers and decide what days and hours work. But this is important. This is important. We have a lot of work as kings in the black community. Not only in the black community, we're kings in general.
Yes. If I can I step us up a little bit, Tim? Bro, we are gods.
Yeah.
The book says you are all gods, children of the Most High God, and that includes women. In society, these white people say when they call women goddesses or no, the woman is the second self of God. After he created himself, he made the woman. She is not a goddess. That is a chauvinistic term. Women are gods as well, and we all have to act and be as gods, Tim. And I thank you so much, bro, for your vision. Thank you. I'm very humbled to be here. I'm very appreciative of your vision, man, because it's powerful, it's strong, and it's needed.
Oh yeah. Like I said, this was a very, 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 very powerful show today, man, and something that we needed to talk about. And so we're gonna continue to have the discussion about it on future podcasts. And so we appreciate everybody that tuned in today. I know, but hey, some people aren't as receptive as other people. But I'm hoping that from today's broadcast that you were able to take something away from this. Like Eric said earlier, it's really just about planting the seed. Whether you use it now or you use it later, the seed has been planted. And we're going to now, at this point, we're going to continue to water that seed and give it sunlight. I appreciate Christy for her comments. Very much needed in society in general. And we talked about this. We're not going to always agree. But I learned something from her today.
Yes.
I'm sure she learned something from us.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about when we have these discussions.
Yes.
You don't have to be in agreement, but you have to have an understanding.
We have to know her perspective.
Exactly. If you don't have a starting point, you don't know where to start.
Yes.
And so we have to have these discussions, man. And thank Floyd for his input. All of it was very monumental and helpful in pushing this thing forward. Because I feel like not just in the black community, it's going to help us as a whole. And it's about uniting this thing called life. And so once again, Eric, I really appreciate you coming in, man.
Yes,
this won't be the last time you on Shoes Off Talk, man. And we're gonna put our heads together on some future stuff. Like I said, we lost Asha. We appreciate him chiming in. He actually was using his lunch hour, so he might have had to go back to work. So we just want to give him a thank you for all of his information. I couldn't imagine having him from the beginning of this, with all the stuff that he knows as well about black culture and what he's going through as a black man in today's society. It's important for us to have these outlets, man, and I appreciate you guys giving us just a minute of your time. like I always say, I don't take people's time for granted. And so anytime anyone gives me any of it, I'm so appreciative, because I know that there's so many other things you could be doing. And so we want to continue to plant seeds, water, and give it sunshine, man. We appreciate everybody that's online that's tuned in. Look, man, like I'm ready to attack today now.
Yeah.
After this, man, this was
I feel invigorated.
this was amazing. And I don't know if you guys had heard, but Eric is in the midst of Ramadan, and so that is a sacrifice. That was a sacrifice for him to come here in the middle of Ramadan, and so we want to thank him, for his efforts as well, because it's more than a notion, and we talked about that. It's like people want to be involved in stuff but don't understand the work that comes with it. You want to be a Muslim? This is this is one of the things that comes with it, and you got to be willing to put in the work. It's not a facade. It's real, and so we thank you guys. If you guys have any ideas of podcasts or things you want to talk about, just message us. We'll get you on. If you want to start your own, hit us up. Let's have those conversations. Like we end all shows, just to let you know. We say, when it comes to the end of the show, I'll say like how we end all shows. And at that point, we say love, peace, and soul. So in unison, as how we end all shows, love, peace, and soul. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Man,